From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Furniture and Mattress 86 is stocked with mattresses. Mattresses starting at $149. Try our 120-night trial. Mattresses come with a 20-year warranty. Up to 72 months, zero interest. Free local delivery and pickup. Furniture and Mattress 86 on Merchant Avenue across from the post office in Reading. If you find it for less, you should buy it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we really saw the peak of that heat wave over the weekend and even yesterday. The good news is we are starting to see a drop in our temperatures today. It's still going to be hot, don't get me wrong, but we're going to shave off a few degrees, and then we'll shave off even more later this week here. And we're also looking at the potential for some thunderstorms in the mountains, unfortunately. Yes, the rain is nice, but we don't want to see those lightning strikes. But overall, temperatures are really dropping. We're going to see quite a drop in our temperatures over the weekend, and I don't see any major heat waves heading our way anytime soon at this point. We'll get into all of that a little bit later, but first, here's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Tuesday, August 12th. We still have that extreme heat warning for western Siskiyou County and a heat advisory for all of the other areas in orange. This is basically in effect through tomorrow morning. So again, that heat is still going to be an issue in some cases here for today. Taking a look out the door this morning, upper 70s in the valley, sunny skies. We do have some of that fog along the coast with mid-50s there, 60s and 70s for the higher elevations, and plenty of sunshine. It's all thanks to that big ridge of high pressure, big broad ridge. You see the arc in the clouds? You see how they're moving up and over that ridge, void of clouds over the eastern Pacific and western United States. That is indicative of that ridge of high pressure and the heat that is associated with it. Now let's talk about the winds. We're still in that pattern where especially the valley and the eastern mountains, including Modoc County, are seeing those afternoon breezy conditions here, but nothing to be terribly alarmed about. And then those winds die down again tonight and tomorrow morning. So that will elevate that fire weather risk here later this afternoon. So there you can see your future cast, and the marine layer looks to be making a return today, although I do expect to see more breaks in the clouds than what you're seeing there. So we'll call it partly cloudy for most of us along the coast here today, but I do expect that marine layer to really kind of start hugging the coast later this evening, tonight, and tomorrow morning, but still looking at plenty of sunshine across the board elsewhere for Northern California, and of course the heat as well. 104 for Redding, 100 in Chico. Temperatures mainly in the 90s, mid to upper 90s for the areas north and east of the valley. But for Trinity County, inland, you're over 100 degrees and low 60s once again for Crescent City and Eureka, for example. We take a look at that 7-day outlook for the valley, and temperatures, at least for Redding, you're going to be hovering around 100 degrees, give or take, for Wednesday through Friday, and then back down into the low 90s by Sunday and Monday of next week. We take a look at the coast. Temperatures actually increasing a little bit here by Friday through at least the first half of the weekend, but still generally in the mid-60s, give or take. For the inland areas and for Trinity County, look at this. I've included a chance for thunderstorms in the forecast this weekend, and possibly for Weaverville. Lingering into Monday. That could be the case for Siskiyou County as well, although I'm not putting that chance in there for Alturas, Modoc County in general, or the eastern mountains. Now keep in mind, I think we're going to be looking at this all changing. The timing, the intensity, maybe even the coverage. We may eventually introduce that chance for places like Modoc County and even parts of the eastern mountains. But for now, it looks like most of it looks to be confined for the areas north and west of the valley. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. Now let's take a look at the latest on the fires, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service, that is. And we're really not seeing a whole lot of activity being detected by the satellites. So let's take you in and take a look at what's going on right now with the Big Cliff Fire. Now, as of yesterday evening, it was reported now at 952 acres. It's grown a little bit, but not by much. We're not really seeing much change overall in that fire perimeter. And you can see here 33% containment now, and we still have that evacuation warning for SIS 2503. The yellow dots on your map there indicating that's activity that was detected by the satellite at least 3 or 4 days ago. So really no recent activity coming out of that fire. In the meantime, we take a look at the green fire. This hasn't been updated, and we haven't received any reports since August 8th. Today is August 12th. right? And it's a little over 19,000 acres and just under 100% containment. We take a look at the Butler fire. No reports since August 9th. 21,058 acres and 96% containment. Now we're going to take a look at the satellite image here, and let's do that. Let's do that first. And I want to show you the loop here. And if you look closely, and I'm going to see if I can draw something on here to kind of help it easier for you to see. Let's get that loop going, and you look a little bit of a flare up right here. And there was another flare up I think I saw somewhere. Let me take another look. Nope, it was right there. So you see that circle that I drew there? That was a little flare up before sunset. I think I saw a little bit right here. You see that what looked like clouds? That's actually smoke. So those were actually two fires that started yesterday afternoon. Let me show you that here. Here you can see the mountain fire, 980 acres. This started and was reported yesterday, August 11th at 4:54 p.m. So that's when it started. It has grown since then to 980 acres at 10% containment. But the good news is forward progress has been stopped on this one. We also saw that area of a little bit of flare up. This is the Clark fire at approximately 51 acres, 30% containment. This one was also reported yesterday at about August 10th. So on Sunday, it was reported at 3:44 p.m. So it hasn't grown that much. And then, of course, we take a look at elsewhere. We're not really seeing much more activity out there. So that's kind of worth noting here. We have a couple of other fires that haven't grown and haven't created that concern as of yet, as the forward progress on those has stopped. Let's take a look at the forecast winds, and this is sponsored by Defensible Space and Brush Removal. You can see those winds picking up again this afternoon and this evening. They die down tomorrow morning, and let's do it all over again tomorrow. Those south winds for the valley, winds coming in from the west for the mountains north and east of the valley. And then those winds should die down by Thursday morning, even midday, but probably picking back up again for your Thursday afternoon. About that fire weather risk, well, really not really increasing until later this afternoon and evening. Relative humidity levels in the lower to mid-teens for the valley, central Siskiyou County, and even parts of the mountains in Modoc and eastern mountains as well. We repeat that again for your Wednesday, although humidity may not be quite as low, but still low nonetheless. And then it's Thursday afternoon. We'll probably still see that moderate to high fire weather risk once again. Well, that is a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast and the latest on the fires. Let's get you to the deeper dive. But before we do that, I do want to remind you there is a free Weather NorCal app. And if you've had the app for a while, note now that you have widgets available on that. And you can actually have a widget on your lock screen on the iPhone. My son actually taught me this yesterday. So you can have widgets on your lock screen or even on your home screen as well. That will show you the current temperatures, it'll show you the forecast high, and even the 7-day forecast at a quick glance. And of course, you can always go inside the app to find out a lot more. You've got the neighborhood forecast. You can watch the video forecast as well. There's really a lot that is associated with this. And on top of that, it's hyper local. You know, there are a lot of apps out there that are available, but they're all generated by AI. This one here, generated by me. Any forecast I generate goes out to the app, it goes to the website, it goes to the maps that you're seeing here, it goes to the 24-hour streaming channel. It's all consistent. So let's talk about that heat here for today. This is the extreme heat warning still in effect through tomorrow morning. Heat advisory for all of these areas here in effect until tomorrow morning as well. But bottom line, it's still going to be hot out there. We are going from really where there were a lot of reds on the map yesterday, which is that major heat risk. Now it's back down to a moderate risk, and it affects most people. So not everyone, but still affects a lot of people, especially if they don't have proper cooling or hydration. And you can see now we're getting more in that minor to moderate category by Wednesday, and even more so by Thursday. Look at Thursday. We're not even really seeing much in the way of orange on the map at all. So we are seeing improving conditions with this heat for the next couple of days. And the reason being is the main source of heat is here, and another source of heat coming in from the desert southwest. These both are retreating. This one heading to the west, This one heading back over the desert southwest. And it's all thanks to this right here. We've got a broad troughing right here. Trough is basically cooler air pulling down from the north. But another thing these troughs do is they can help to destabilize the atmosphere a bit. And we've got a little bit of that troughing coming in here. So that is why we've got that potential to maybe see some thunderstorms developing in some of the higher elevations, which we'll get into that here in just a bit. But you can see the heat really pushing off to the east over the central United States at this point, and this way off to our west. And then you can see this just kind of hovers here over the Gulf of Alaska through the weekend and into early next week. Now this heat is going to build, but it's going to stay off to our east. So temperatures may increase a little bit here, but we still have maybe some of that instability over Northern California, and that could bring some more thunderstorms for some of the higher elevations, and that may even linger on into Tuesday. We'll see. But taking a look at the overall trend with those temperatures, yeah, we're seeing a nice little drop. So after today, we're just going to kind of hover around 100 degrees, give or take, here through Friday for at least Reading. And then we see another dip in our temperatures as we go into the weekend and early next week, and then start to kind of climb back up again towards the middle and latter part of next week. So a little mini roller coaster ride, if you will, but no major heat waves after the one we just saw, so that certainly is good news. Here's the big picture, broad ridge of high pressure right here. That is the source of heat that we've seen over the last several days. All right, looking at futurecast. So the marine layer, I think, is being a little too aggressive on futurecast here for today. I think we're going to see more clearing in some spots here. So we'll call it partly cloudy, maybe mostly cloudy in some spots here. But you can see as we go into tonight and tomorrow, I think it's really going to hug the coast, and we'll see more of that fog once again tonight, tomorrow morning. Now, there's a weak disturbance that may brush in some clouds tomorrow morning, making for a beautiful sunrise, but that will really be the extent of it. It's not going to bring us any rainfall, and then that clears out by the afternoon, but still some of that fog hovering for the coast. I think we're going to see a bit of a return of that marine layer. However, it looks like by Thursday, we're starting to see some of that dissipate here, especially out towards places like, Crescent City, Del Norte County. But you can see here around Humboldt Bay southward, we're seeing that fog probably persist even midday. So fairly persistent fog in some spots for the coast here. Now, this is kind of interesting. I haven't shown you this map in a while because there's really been nothing to really show and report. But Climate Prediction Center is picking up on the potential for barely wetter than normal conditions here for parts of Northern California. So let's take a look at the longer range, because we don't have any rain here through Thursday, even Friday. But this particular model, not the most aggressive at all. In fact, Friday, the European and the GFS, and the GFS is the American forecast model that we're looking at here. But now, this is where they differ. On Saturday, the European forecast model is showing the potential for thunderstorms in this general area right here. Trinity County and parts of Siskiyou County, and maybe even some of the inland areas as well. Otherwise dry elsewhere. Okay, then we go into Sunday, European forecast model still showing that potential in the same areas. And then as we go into Monday as well, especially out towards places like Siskiyou County on Monday. But this particular forecast model, you can see it kind of picks up a little bit on Monday and then drying things out on Tuesday. And the European forecast model also is going towards a drier solution by next Tuesday as well. So I'm thinking that especially north and west of the valley is a potential for thunderstorms, especially this weekend and possibly even into Monday of next week. So we'll have to watch for that potential, maybe for some dry lightning strikes. Let's hope for the best though. But there you can see your lake levels. Once again, as I say every single day, nice and healthy, over 100% of that historical average. All right, let's take a look at those wave heights. This is for this afternoon, and you can see we progress into Wednesday. They're not changing much. So we don't have any small craft advisories out there, but overall you can see some of that patchy fog. Your winds will be from the northwest at about 5 knots. All right, here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We are going to be looking at those temperatures for Trinity County, well over 100 degrees here, especially for Highway 299 northward, although a little bit to the south of that as well. Not as hot for Mad River and Ruth. There's that potential for thunderstorms Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Nothing guaranteed at this point, but something worth watching. Temperatures actually increasing a little bit. We'll average out over the next 7 days for the coast to be somewhere in the mid-60s. Your North Coast neighborhood forecast to the north, sponsored by Dignity Health. there's that inland area. Look at that. By Saturday, Sunday, I have included at least a chance for thunderstorms over the weekend. For your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, also brought to you by Dignity Health. Temperatures over 100 degrees in many spots. Places like Doris about 95, Weed 98, as well as Mount Shasta City. And I'm keeping that chance for thunderstorms for Mount Shasta even into early next week. But you'll notice it is much cooler by the weekend and early next week. Now, we don't have any thunderstorms for El Turris for you over the weekend, but that may change. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But temperatures mid to upper 90s for your daytime highs today. Eastern Mountains, I'm not expecting any thunderstorms at this point for the weekend into early next week. Again, most of it north and west of the valley. Speaking of the valley, here's your valley neighborhood forecast sponsored by Dignity Health. Your temperatures in the upper 90s to a little over 100 degrees for the south end of the valley, like Chico with a high of 100. But back down to the mid to even upper 90s. In fact, we see temperatures drop a little bit Wednesday, Thursday, another spike possibly near the end of the week. But by the weekend, low 90s, even some upper 80s possibly by Monday. Look for a high of about 104 to 105 for the north end of the valley here. Temperatures not quite as hot with 101 for a high today in Red Bluff. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. As I mentioned, temperatures kind of drop a little bit here for your Wednesday and then just kind of hover around 100 degrees for Thursday, Friday, low to mid 90s over the weekend, and low 90s by Monday. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for your latest forecast. Have a great morning.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.